New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello and welcome back to Global Focus today. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Sharri McMurray, and our guest today is someone really special. I know I always say that, but it's always true. Did you ever find yourself at an award ceremony and somebody got an award and you went, oh, I know them? Well, that happened to me 2 weeks ago. Reverend Dr. Jeanne Kataoka was awarded the 2024 Heart of Emerson Award for her work with and on behalf of animals and their guardians. And I am delighted to have her with us again today. Please help me welcome Reverend Dr. Jeanne Kataoka. Thank you so much for saying yes. I know how busy you are, but I'm delighted to have you here. And I want you to tell us all about all the cool stuff that you've been doing. You've got 4 or 5 organizations that you're working with. You're the chair of the Humane Spiritual Studies Department at Emerson Theological Institute, and you have 5 cats and 3 dogs.
Yep. That's the latest count.
Okay, but I've left out one of the things nobody knows about you because it tickled me so bad. I have to say, you are the only person I know who ever went visiting out of state and got invited to become a go-go dancer at a bar.
Yeah, this is true. It was a couple of eons ago. Yes.
I love that. So the last time I talked to you, you didn't have as many cats and you didn't have as many pieces. You were just kind of doing the Blessed Be Animals thing on Facebook. And now you're really juggling a chainsaw, a bowling ball, and a raw egg. So tell us about it. Just pick one and talk.
I think I'll start with the Beagle Freedom Project. We've been involved with them for, probably 9 or 10 years. I think they've been around 11 or 12. And the main purpose of Beagle Freedom Project is to rescue animals that are being used for testing in laboratories. Although it's called Beagle Freedom Project, they've rescued everything from goldfish to llamas. And they just are. It was started by Shannon Keith, who is an animal rights attorney. And her first rescue was 50 beagles from Spain, as I said, about 12 years ago. There are better ways to have relationships with our animals than by testing on them. And so Shannon recently bought a former animal testing lab in Oklahoma and is turning it into kind of like a rehab center for animals coming out of laboratories. And she talked the guy into retiring and selling her the property. So that's their main focus now. Yeah, she is a wonder. She's just a fireball of energy for animals. And we have one now, but we had a previous dog, Yori, came from a lab in Korea. We have Sato, who came from a lab in China. But I always caution people that, yes, although these came from out of the country and another continent, don't don't for a minute think that there isn't testing being done on animals right here in the United States. As I mentioned, that what's now called Freedom Fields in Oklahoma had been a testing facility. So the technical term for testing on animals is called vivisection, and it's just horrendous what they do. They'll like open up their skulls and attach electrodes and then keep them that way for days. I've seen pictures of cats. When they come out of the labs, we don't usually know what was done to them. And when I say they're rescued from labs, it's not a bash and crash and go in and snag them out of their cages. It's usually someone on the ground that works for the laboratory that says, hey, we've got a bunch of animals finishing up their protocols, the series of tests that are going to be done on them. And so we were wondering if you could find homes for them.
So if I'm hearing you right, they don't get rescued before they get tested. They have to go through all of that misery. And then if they're lucky, they get rescued.
Lucky is the word, right? Yeah. We definitely don't know what was done to Yori. He ended up passing due to cancer that we wonder if it had to do with the testing. Our other little beagle, Sato, who has just turned 16, she was in a lab for 9.5 years. And we know, just you can tell by looking at her belly, that she was probably used as a breeder. But my thinking is that she probably didn't get to have the fun part of it. They probably just set her up and did an artificial insemination to make sure that they could get more puppies to test on, get the most out of the litters when she was impregnated. So she's and the really interesting thing is people go, ew, what would they be like coming out of the labs? And one of the reasons they choose beagles, I mean, yes, they use mice and monkeys and cats and goldfish, apparently. But they use beagles because anybody who knows beagles know that they are friendly, they're forgiving, they just love people. And the very things that we love about them are the very reasons why they use them in laboratories. So Sato is, as I said, was in 9.5 years. She turned 16 in June. She's our little Zen master. In fact, I gave a talk at CSL Antelope Valley here in California a week or so ago. And it was on forgiveness and prosperity. And so I talked a lot about Sato and how she seems to embody the idea, and perhaps did while she was in the lab, that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional, because she is just the calmest. It doesn't matter what you put her up on an examining table and she's okay with that. Of course, part of that is learned behavior in the lab, that they know that it'll hurt less if they sit still. But still, she's just so amazing. She can go to sleep anywhere. She like stretched out on the floor the last time we had her to the vet, because we had another dog in with her. And so the vet wasn't looking at her. She stretched out on the floor and went to sleep because, as I said, she's 16 years old.
Dogs are wonderful meditation gurus. Yeah.
She definitely.
I don't think dog is God spelled backwards for no reason.
That's probably true.
My little miniature Whippet has her own meditation pillow in my prayer room.
So actually, Sato has several around the house. Yeah. She can meditate anywhere, anytime. So they're wonderful animals. When they, sometimes they're a little shy, and it takes some work to develop trust for them to be able to trust humans again. But it's well worth it. So if you're thinking about adopting, I know Beagle Freedom Project has dogs available, and they have them from all over the country. So you never know, even if you're in Minnesota or Maine or Washington State, they may have some near to you, or they may be able to make travel arrangements. So I highly recommend it. As I said, I've had two have come out of labs, and other than the retired racing greyhound we had, they have been by far the best dogs we've ever had. So, and they've had to.
Are there similar organizations for cats?
Well, as I said, Beagle Freedom will rescue anything. They'll rescue whatever needs rescuing. They will rescue it. So If there's cats, they'll rescue the cats as well. They will take everything and anything.
And another organization that you have mentioned to me that really fascinates me is the Farm Sanctuary.
Oh, right. Yeah. Farm Sanctuary has been around. Jeanne Bauer is one of the co-founders. And in fact, he's going to be, I'm excited. He's going to be here in Southern California next month. So, and he's just a wonderful person. I've spoken with him before, and they wanted to save animals from abuse on farms and factory farms where animals, and that's, people don't think about it. I like to remember what Sir Paul McCartney said, that if slaughterhouses had glass walls, everybody would be vegetarian. Because what happens to the animals on the farms are mistreated. One of the worst things is that calves are taken away from cows within hours after birth, because they want to use the calves unless they're cows, they'll save those so that they can have more calves. But if they're male calves, they will save them to make veal. And then the mothers are just milked and milked and milked, and their babies don't get their milk. So it's this is one of the reasons, when I learned all about this, is one of the reasons I became vegan, that there's just so much awful things, too many awful things that happen in chickens. We can talk about chickens. Even if they say they're cage free, that means they're standing in a warehouse, shoulder to shoulder, and standing in their own poop and dying in their own poop. And it's just a despicable situation. Sheep are not handled well or gently, I'll say, when they're being shorn. And of course, then we eat them as well. Well, I personally don't, but we as a species do. So I really appreciate Farm Sanctuary as well. They do a lot of good work.
And the other one I like, just because I love the name, is Best Friends.
Best Friends is a wonderful organization. One of the things that they do is they have helped a local rescue near me, Mary S. Roberts Pet Adoption Center in Riverside, to help them have them up to speed on all the best practices for a shelter. And what Best Friends is actually doing now in Riverside County, where I live, the county shelters have the worst kill rate in the entire country of shelters. It's like, very few animals get out of county shelters alive here. And Best Friends is coming in, and they're trying to get it so 90% of those coming in will survive to be adopted. I spoke to our Riverside County Board of Supervisors a few months ago, and I'm happy to say that after I spoke, and not just me, there were several others, they decided to have a special committee to look into what was going on in the shelters, because Best Friends had done their research and they knew what was happening. So there's, that's good news on the horizon, and hopefully something will be done about that, and we'll have, more animals surviving their time in our county shelters.
Good. And the other organization, which surprised me because I had never heard of them, was the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine.
Right. And their focus is making sure that, or trying to make sure that animals are used less and less in experiments. And they're promoting not necessarily human-based testing, but the amazing science that they're helping to promote is like organs on a chip, from lungs and hearts to uteruses and cervixes. It's amazing, and I don't understand how that works, but I've read about it. And the reason that this is important is that when we test on animals, it often doesn't work. And the reason is because animals aren't human. And although they may be mammals, they just don't have the same physiology we do. And Beagle Freedom had done research years ago on testing disasters, and among them was penicillin that was really discovered in 1929, but they found that it didn't have any effect on the animals they were testing it on, so it got shelved for 10 years. And then when they brought it out, they realized, oh, this could be important. And so, it was in World War II that penicillin came to the forefront and is being used, obviously, as an antibiotic. It was one of the first. And what I had to think about was, because it was shelved, it might have cost the life of my paternal grandmother, because in 1933, she suffered a burst appendix, which turned into peritonitis, which is an infection around the internal organs. And she ended up passing. I'm sure it was a horrible death, because that takes time. But if penicillin had been available, she might have been able to survive. My dad was 13 at the time. He was an only child. And, so that's part of the sad Turner story, Turner being my maiden name. But but it was because it took massive amounts to affect the animals, where it doesn't to affect humans. Another one that animal testing didn't work, and Dr. Sabin, a test member, I loved him, because he was the one that came up with the oral polio vaccine.
I hated that thing. It tasted nasty.
Yeah, but it was better than a shot. I hated getting the shots. Can't you give it to me in a pill? I don't want a shot. But he shelved it because the way that they had tested on monkeys, which you'd think would be kind of close to humans, and they found out that monkeys got the disease, I think, orally, whereas we get it nasally, and so they didn't think that it worked. Or it might have been the other way around. I'm not sure at the moment. But anyway, they contracted one way and we contracted it a different way.
Right.
And so it got shelved, and he testified to this before Congress, that if they had tested on humans, they would have known this sooner. So, and then Vioxx, which is another one, because it was advertised to the masses early on, and it was developed as a pain medication and for arthritis. And it went through testing, even went through human testing. And then they discovered that it gave people heart disease. And at least, I think, 6 people died from it before it was pulled from the market.
That's the interesting thing is that I was visiting with an organization here in town called the Casey Shepherd Center that focuses on serving seniors. And they said that the biggest challenge they had was that people would be taking 15 medications, and 8 of them are to address the side effects of the other 7. And I wonder, if maybe they need to alter the testing so that it looks for interactions with things that people who are supposed to take this are likely to also be taking. Mm-hmm. That's completely beside the point, but it popped into my head and out my mouth.
No, that's true. That's true. Or, if they're seeing different doctors and they're not remembering to take all their medications to every doctor, sure. Yeah, that can definitely be a problem. But Neil Barnard, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, puts out a lovely magazine. And there's a quote that this just really struck me. It's Neil Barnard. He's an MD and he's president of the committee. It says, when a harmful procedure is done on animals because it cannot be ethically done on humans, it's not ethical to do it on animals either.
No, it's not.
So I was like, yes, I believe that's the truth. So it really isn't ethical. And what these poor animals go through is heart-wrenching when you know the facts. But to realize that it is done here in the United States. Another thing that Beagle Freedom has, and if anybody would like a copy of these, you can email me and I'll send you a scanned copy. But they have these. It's actually back to back, and they have lists of On one side is the brands that test on animals, and then the other side is the brands that don't test on animals. But most people, when they pick up the red side, which is the bad companies, they are shocked. And they go, well, what do they need to test? And like, I don't know, because I'm not in the business. But companies like Crest, Clorox, Nivea, Pond's, Vaseline, Woolite, all of these companies, Pampers, Listerine, Maybelline, Glad, Downy, Arm & Hammer. It's like, I don't know, what are they testing? Where it's like Ricky Gervais said, like, why do we have to test shampoo? Just put a label on it. Hey, if you get it in your eyes, it's going to hurt. So don't do that. And it's like, right? What are they testing? There are so many. L'Oreal, Ivory, Gillette, Band-Aid, Right Guard. It's so many companies test on animals. And some of them, if they don't test, they allow their products, and they want their products to be tested. There used to be a law in China that was rescinded, I think, last year, that if you wanted to sell cosmetics in China, your products have to be tested. And I think possibly all the ingredients had to be tested as well. So there was a company, I won't name it because I have a friend who works for that company. They say, we don't test. And I go, but if you're selling in China, which I know you are, then you're having your products tested, and that's just greed, that they want to sell in China because obviously that's a big market, and this is a cosmetic company. So sometimes they try to kind of whitewash it or greenwash it, however you want to say that regarding this, that, no, we don't test. But yeah, if their product has to be tested in another country, then yeah, it's tested on. And some of the companies that don't test, these do not test, are Aveda, Lush, that's one of my favorites, Dove, NYX, which is a cosmetic company, Orly, which I believe makes nail polishes. So there are many that don't. Ulta Beauty, if you have one of those stores,
I like them, but they have good products too.
Yeah, Tom's of Maine, you may have heard of. Mm-hmm. So we consider these products vegan because they don't test on animals. So and Trader Joe's products are not tested on animals.
I love Trader Joe's products.
Yeah, we all love our Trader Joe's. So yeah, so if anybody would like a copy of this, I'd be happy to scan it and just email me and put testing information maybe in the subject line, so I'll know what that is. Otherwise, I might put it aside.
Well, that's wonderful, and I'm grateful that you're willing to do that for our viewers. Is there anything big on your horizon right now? Any big issue that has come up that's new and different?
Not really. I'm going to the SoCal Veg Fest this weekend. That's an annual event. So, and it's nice because it's all vegan food. I don't have to go and say, oh, what can I have here? Or, what do I have to say? Thank you to the
challenge for eating out nowadays. It is. Someplace and I'm going, well, okay. I could have I could have a baked potato. I can't have French fries.
No. I mean, if you're going to be strict, no sour cream, no butter.
Well, one of my friends gave me, because she works with a group that feeds the homeless, and I work with them too. And someone had donated some plant-based butter.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't know how to use it, so she gave it to me. That stuff was scrumptious.
Oh yeah, like Miyoko's, our daughter and I bake, and we have been able to make toffee with that. Like homemade almond roca. And if you try margarine, no, does not work. But Miyoko's vegan butter works for coffee.
I love it.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of apps, since we're kind of on the subject, if people are interested in, at least going vegetarian maybe, or, meatless Mondays, there's an app called Happy Cow, and it's international, and it will tell you the local restaurants. So you can have it do vegan, or you can have it show you the vegetarian restaurants. So that's a Happy Cow. As I said, that's an app. And so that's really helpful. And if it has like 5-star, well, they can only give, if they also serve meat, they can only have as many as 4 stars. But if they have 4 stars, you can bet the food, and they have a lot of reviews, the food will be excellent. We've never, ever been steered wrong by Happy Cow. And another app, if you're interested in not using products that are tested on animals, is the Cruelty Cutter app, which you can find through Beagle Freedom Project. It was one of their projects. So the cruelty, I believe it's cruelty-cutter.org.
You gave me that one last time. I have that one, but I'm going to go find Happy Cow because I love that.
Yeah. So that both those apps are very helpful. And, even though, and I'm sure I could get heat for this, I consider myself a vegan. I don't buy leather or silk or, any kind of thing like that. I do eat eggs at home because we have a friend who has chickens with names, and there's no rooster, so there's not like I'm preventing little chickens from being born. But people think that that's exploiting the chickens, and okay, that's fine. And if I'm out, sometimes I'll eat cheese because, it's very difficult. One of the things I did a few years ago is take a class on Buddhism and animals, which I found really interesting. And there are Buddhists in the world who are nomads. And, like this is on the steppe in China and Mongolia. And they don't farm. They use their yaks for transportation and for carrying their homes, I'm sure.
Yurts.
They're yurts. And they so they eat meat because they don't have a choice. And so kind of in the Buddhist tradition, if you didn't kill it, if you didn't make it and you didn't ask for it to be made for you, then it's okay to eat it. I have a friend who's vegan, and she has not been able to give up oysters. So, we're all on kind of a spectrum. And as my husband Mike likes to say, we're just doing the best we can. So,
and you know what? I had the very first New Thought minister I ever had, the Science of Mind minister, said the world would be a happier place if we could just keep one truth in the front of our mind. And that truth is that every living being, not just every person, but every living being is in every moment doing the very best they can with the wisdom they possess in that moment.
Yep.
May not be good enough for me, may not be good enough for anybody else. But if they're doing the best they can do, it's good enough for God, and that's got to be good enough for me.
Yeah. And I love that too. And it really comes in handy when you feel like that's not true, but if you can remember that and you think somebody has done you wrong, they're doing the best they can.
Yep.
When you know better, you do better, as Maya Angelou used to say.
Yeah. Well, I have those 5 questions I ask everybody.
Oh, yes.
So we'll start with the first one. Is there anything that you want our listeners to know or see that I haven't asked you about?
Probably the only thing I would mention is I do a quarterly animal memorial service. There's sometimes crying, but I always try to keep it kind of light. And the next one will be, I believe it's December 12th. It'll be the second Saturday of the month. And they can just watch Blessed Be Animals for that, and the information, and it's on via Zoom. And I will invite you to send pictures if you've lost an animal recently, or you want to remember one from your childhood, or you just even want to honor one that's still alive or maybe is ill, and you want to have some good vibes for it. That's fine. So that would be the answer to that. The quarterly memorial service, and they can watch either my Facebook page, which is just my name, or Blessed Be Animals.
Excellent. Okay, next question. How does what you do with all of these organizations and with your work with Emerson, how does that contribute to, encourage, enhance, pick your own verb, conscious evolution?
Well, I'll go back to the thesis of Will Tuttle and the World Peace Diet, that if everybody went vegan, we could be at peace. And if we're not vegan, it's that's a challenge to be at peace, because when you eat animals, you're eating their fear and their anxiety. And so I think that, trying to promote better treatment of animals is doing that.
Okay. I like it. Okay. Now the next question sounds like the same one, but it's not.
Okay.
How does what you're doing and how you do it encourage, unveil, support, pick your own verb, world peace? And you just gave most of the answer, but take another shot.
Well, I think if we were more conscientious about the animals and recognizing and knowing that they too are divine emanations, and we recognize that and treat them as such, how could we not be more peaceful?
Yeah, I like that. Okay, here's the fun one. You have to close your eyes for this one because you're going to use your imagination. We are presuming that every single thing goes exactly the way you want it to go. Every detail, every event, every encounter, every relationship, everything goes exactly the way you want it to go for the next 10 years. 10 years from now, what is Jeanne Kataoka and spiritual studies look like?
Well, we'd have more animal chaplains out there for sure. I think that the animal chaplain program is a wonderful, wonderful program that was started. The initial module is Sandy Passmore Byland, Reverend Sandy Passmore Byland, and then the program, the rest of it was put together by Reverend Dr. Chris Haley, and she is retired, and I got to take over from her. And that is something in the Humane Studies program is kind of what I spoke about, learning to respect animals as the divine emanations that they are. So there would be many, many more of those.
Okay, here's the last one. Will you come back?
Yeah. Why not? And get to talk to Reverend Dr. Sharri McMurray.
The first opening I have is October 7th of next year. Can you put you down?
Yeah.
Yippee. Okay. Wow. And just so folks know, our next guest is Reverend Dr. Michelle Wadley, whose ministry is called the Planned Happiness Institute. Now, how could you let that go past you? The Planned Happiness Institute. I can hardly wait to see what's new and exciting with her next week. So don't miss it. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. And don't forget, I love you. Bye-bye.
Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.